Kirby and the Forgotten Land is one of my favorite games, dare I say top 5, and probably my favorite 3D platformer on the Switch 1 overall. It makes me want to do this. It's the truth, that's what I want to do. And now Nintendo has gifted us with the Switch 2 edition, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Nintendo Switch 2 edition, plus Starcrossed Worlds, the best title in gaming. I love that title. I'll be honest though, I was a little worried going into this because some of Nintendo's other Switch 2 editions have been, let's just say, questionable in terms of quality. But hey, I have to play it and test it out. And of course, our goal today is to rank it on the Game Gauge. Oh yeah. I'm excited. Back when the original released in 2022, Forgotten Land was an absolute banger. I couldn't get enough of it. In fact, this is what I said back when I reviewed it when I was first starting YouTube.
I really hope this game gets the DLC treatment like Kirby Star Allies, but I'm not holding my breath. I just think it would be really cool because I still want to play this game for hours and hours.
Sheesh, who is this guy? What the heck? This is one of those games I already feel nostalgic about, and it's the kind of game I've wanted to replay on 100% again more times than I have fingers. At least 11. Now for those who need a refresher, the Switch 1 edition base game was all about going through each level and rescuing Waddle Dees trapped in cages. Oh my goodness, that can't be legal. Each stage had bonus challenges, and at the end, it would show you what you got and what you missed. If you completed all the challenges, you 100%ed that level, and it would add to your 100% completion at the end of the game. It's as simple as that. There were also side missions with time trials called Treasure Roads. These really highlighted how deep some copy abilities could go. They were deep, especially the drill. On top of that, you could collect little figurines, both in levels and through a gacha machine, and use the Waddle Dee village as your hub, gradually building it up with shops, minigames, and of course, the classic Coliseum. So yes, the base game was rock solid, and still is, but most of you already know that. You're probably here for the new stuff, so let's talk about it. The Switch 2 edition, honestly, is everything I could have asked for in one of these Switch 2 editions. Starcrossed Worlds adds a total of 12 new stages. On paper, that might not sound like that much, but these are pretty sizable levels. And remember, this isn't a new game. It's a $20 DLC add-on, so I wasn't expecting double the amount of content from the base game. That said, because I loved the first game so much, I did end up burning through it a little faster than I wanted. To be honest, I still want more. I need more. There are some fundamental things that change about these Starcrossed World levels, and that's the fact that the Waddle Dees are no longer. Now we're rescuing these little sparkly little guys called Starries. Look at them go. Look how cute they are. These new stages might seem just like remixed versions of levels you've already played, and yes, they're located in the same spots of the same map, but these aren't just reskins. Once you start playing, you'll realize they've actually rebuilt these levels in very clever ways. They pull inspiration from the original, but then completely reroute you through new areas, add new platforming challenges, and mix in gimmicks that weren't there before. These levels are a lot more visually distinct, filled with the glittery purple stars that change the vibe entirely. You'll find more vertical climbing sections, new puzzles, and even the way you interact with the environment makes this feel different thanks to these silly little crystal flowers that reshape the terrain. So yes, they feel like remixes, but they play like brand new stages. I was actually surprised with how many moments made me go like, wait a second, that's new! Thankfully, the levels are complemented even more by the addition of new mouthful mode abilities, like the spring. The spring lets you bounce upward and then slam down, opening some new platforming options, while the gear allows you to roll along walls and do this little jumpy thing. Look at him go. In a way that feels more involved than most other transformations we've seen from Kirby before, or at least from the base game. There's also this new signpost ability used for downhill segments, adding some more fast-paced movement sections that break up the standard level design. On top of that, a few of the original mouthful mode power-ups return, like the car, the traffic cone, the stairs. But they've been placed in fresh contexts with new puzzles and challenges built around them. They don't just repeat the same ideas from the main game. They've been rethought to feel more purposeful and engaging. One thing that did surprise me was the fact that there are no more new copy abilities. All the traditional power-ups are the same as before, so if you were hoping for brand new ones, too bad, because they're not here. Something I really appreciated about this new DLC is that it's slightly more challenging. I never had an issue with how easy the base game was. Kirby was always meant to be accessible. What can I say? But looking back, I can see why some players felt it didn't push them much. These new levels feel like hard mode versions of the originals, not like a punishing way, but just enough to make you think a little more about timing, platforming, and how you use each ability. It's still nothing over the top, and it's absolutely doable for little children like me. But for returning players, it offers just a bit more strategy. And when a level did did catch me off guard, it felt like a fun surprise and not really frustrating, except for the Colosseum. My goodness, the Colosseum. Aside from the new levels and transformations, Starcrossed World doesn't really add a whole lot else. There are some new gacha figures, which are neat little collectibles, and as far as I can tell, that's the one thing you can actually spend the new starry currency on. It's fun if you're into filling out collections, but it doesn't really change how you play. Beyond that, there aren't really many new major activities. You don't get any new treasure road challenges, which is a little disappointing since they were such a highlight in the base game, and there's not much going on in Waddle Dee Town either, outside of some very small additions. So if you're hoping for some more new side mode content, it's not here. That said, the stages themselves are still packed with hidden secrets and optional collectibles, just like before. But we need to talk about the biggest upgrade here, and that's the performance. One of the biggest issues with the Switch 1 version of the game, and the main reason I never considered it perfect, was how it ran. On the Switch 1, the game was definitely playable and looked good, but it was locked at 30 frames per second. For a 3D platformer, that just isn't ideal. Once you played something like Mario Odyssey or Donkey Kong Bonanza at 60 frames per second, you realize how much smoother the controls feel and how much tighter platforming becomes. Another thing that always stood out to me were the enemies in the distance. On the Switch 1, they were rendered or animated at a much lower frame rate, which wasn't game-breaking by any means, but it did look off and kind of distracting. Honestly, the first thing I noticed booting up this game on the Switch 2 is that all of those performance problems are gone. The frame rate is now a consistent 60, and distant enemies move normally instead of looking like they're glitching or skipping around. Load times are also noticeably faster on the Switch 2, which makes hopping in and out of levels way smoother. It's one of those quality of life things that you don't think about until you play the old version, but I have no idea why you would want to do that. On top of that, everything just looks much sharper thanks to the resolution bump. The original was already a fantastic looking game with its clean art style, but here the textures pop even more, the details are clearer, and it feels like everything got a polish. Kirby has never looked this good. Also, I have to say they did a great job making Kirby look small and jiggly. Just saying, I love it. And with the Starcrossed Worlds levels, they've really leaned into the visual upgrade. The icy crystal theme shines on the Switch 2. You've got reflective surfaces, tons of little particle effects floating around, and environments that just sparkle in a way they couldn't on Switch 1. The new areas feel like they were designed with this higher fidelity in mind, and it makes the DLC stand out even more. It's honestly the biggest win for the whole package. The game just feels better to play and looks gorgeous while doing it. Now, I gotta say, it's very interesting how Nintendo is dealing with these Nintendo Switch 2 editions. Some of them are only $10. Those usually give you performance and graphics boosts, and then some are $20, including this one. And that's because they include extra DLC. The only other Nintendo Switch 2 edition that has done this is Mario Party Jamboree. But the thing is, the Switch 2 edition of that game was pretty lackluster. It only added a handful of new mini-games, and the base game didn't get any graphical changes. So in comparison, this Kirby release actually feels like it's worth $20 if you're coming back to it. If you've never played Kirby at all, and this is your first time, yes, you'd be dropping $80, which is still a lot of money for a game. When I said I wanted DLC back in 2022, I never thought that 3 years later we'd finally get it. I had just kind of moved on. I love that they delivered, but part of me feels like they could have saved these ideas and just gone all in on a brand new 3D Kirby game for the Switch 2. I was genuinely surprised they came back for Forgotten Land. In fact, it's called Forgotten Land. They should have forgot about it, am I right? Right? Right, guys? Sure, it sold really well and definitely needed performance updates. I just didn't expect this, that's all. But hey, I'm a massive Kirby fan. I think it's worth picking up. And we can see by looking at the game gauge. What's it looking like on a score of 1 to 10? Let's go game gauge. 9.7. Dang. Have you played Kirby in the Forgotten Land? And have you done it on Switch 2? Let me know what you think about it in the comments. And hey, see all these beautiful little names? Consider joining them and becoming a channel member. You get videos early, your name at the end of every video, and exclusive Discord access to a chat where I'm active. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. See you later.